Welcome to part 2 of the Plants vs. Zombies Nuzlocke series. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure you've watched part 1, as I explain the rules and a lot of other important information there. The Nuzlocke playlist will be linked down in the description, so make sure to check it out if you're new to the series. For the most part, we're going to skip a lot of the mumbo jumbo at the beginning and roll straight into things, but there are a few things I need to clear up beforehand, so bear with me for a moment. The Marty McFly run was the best run, so it's the run you're seeing throughout the entire series. I want to make it clear this was by far my best attempt. The other 11 went something like this. Okay. I swear to God. Is this a fucking joke? I don't know if that's gonna be enough to kill him. Okay, there we go. Alright. Slay then. Walnut. Okay, perfect. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Okay, alright, we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Maybe. Maybe. I never properly stated this in part 1, but me throwing out the restart rule does make my run of the challenge technically invalid. At least, I would consider it to be. This was a very fun challenge to do, regardless of if it was technically a valid run or not, so I'm excited to try it again. Me and chat had collectively decided to throw out the rule at some point during the 12th run. I don't remember exactly where this happened, but we did play at least the beginning of this run with the restart rule. I got rid of the rule as a proof of concept to myself that I could indeed do it, granted I made no dumb mistakes and had perfect RNG. With this being said, I didn't use this to restart every time I lost a plant. Sometimes I'm just dumb, and would make a stupid mistake that would cause me to restart, or I would die due to a damn pole vaulter annihilating my setup. It was just really annoying having to constantly restart from level 1-1 when both of my restarts went to dumb reasons. I stated in part 1 that in the future I do plan to do another attempt of this challenge with the restart rule, and I still want to do that, so make sure you're subscribed if that's something you'd want to see. Now, the first time I had attempted this challenge, I was convinced I could do this in a few tries. I've played PvZ my whole life. This couldn't possibly be that hard, right? The night levels quickly whooped that pride right out of my system as I brutally lost Walnut, Cherry Bomb, Chomper, Puffshroom, and Repeater on my first attempt of the Nuzlocke. The day levels had given me a false sense of confidence. I was not expecting the very sudden ramp in difficulty and it had me floored. Oh my god, is this challenge even possible? Can I even do this? With hesitation and a very bruised ego, I tried again and again, eventually coming up with plans and strategies. Very slowly I realized that if this was possible, there was no getting out unscathed. From where we left off on part 1, we had just defeated level 110 and received Puffshroom. Now Puffshroom is always an amazing plant, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, unless you're doing like a no mushroom run or something. Being both free and a decent close range shooter, the little guy fits very snugly into our Nuzlocke strategy. Puffshroom can kill one brown coat zombie at close range, and while it's pretty close, it works, and it makes him an integral part of the night levels. With this being said, we need to be very careful with our placement of Puffshroom, as I would like to not get him murked on the first night FNAF style. 2-1 introduces newspaper zombies to the mix, and considering it is only the first night level, you would expect it to be fairly easy. We very quickly learned that is not the case, and that every night level is going to be inducing a definitely unhealthy amount of stress. Well, honestly, maybe it would have been easier if I had remembered to use the lawnmowers. Yeah, remember last episode how I was all proud of myself for using them to my advantage? Turns out, I had completely forgotten about them from here until level 4. Since I had indeed forgotten to use lawnmowers in the earlier night levels, I want to take the time now to explain what I did to get through them. I would depend a lot here on Puffshroom, as his low cost of free made it easy to get down more Sunshrooms. I would use Puffshroom to defend and then slowly build up more Sun for more defense, whether that be Fume Shroom or Snowpea. If I would have remembered to use the lawnmowers in combination with this, I'm sure it wouldn't have felt as stressful. Regardless, I was able to get through level 2-1 fairly okay. We started by placing Sunflowers and Puffshrooms. Eventually I get down some Snowpeas, which helped tremendously as we place what pea shooters we can to make sure every lane has more defense than just Puffshroom. For successfully not dying on night 1, we're awarded with Sunshroom. I'm honestly not sure if it would be better or not to use Sunflower here, but I opted for Sunshroom, as if I lost Sunflower, there was no continuing. This takes us to level 2-2, where things ramp up quickly as we now have not only newspaper and regular zombies to deal with, but now also coneheads and bucketheads. We head in with the same strat as last level, using our shiny new Sunshroom in place of Sunflower. From here the level goes pretty okay, but I guess I must have been going insane from how much PvZ I had been playing. I nearly forgot Walnut was still alive, because in all of my past runs up till this point, he was. I barely remembered to place him in time to save Puffshroom from this onslaught of zombies from the last wave. Not to mention this moment, where I could have easily and entirely prevented Puffshroom from almost being eaten. Levels don't count. The conveyor belt levels are an exception. Oh, Puffshroom, thank you, Puffshroom. We somehow claw our way through level 2-2 without losing any plants, and in return we get Fundraiser. We make sure to take this guy out for a spin right away on 2-3 as we see screen door zombies waiting for us on the other side of the lawn. Now that we've got more of a choice for plants, I bring with me Sunshroom, Puffshroom, Fundraiser, Pea Shooter, Walnut, and Snow Pea. And you know what they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it, so we used pretty much the same exact strategy for 2-3. Puffshrooms as our main defense, save up Sun for Snow Peas, and place Walnuts to protect Puffshroom. We do make sure to also use Fundraiser here, as the screen door zombies can make things a little dicey. The last wave didn't give us much issue either, and we managed to sail through 2-3. For completing 2-3 we get Gravebuster, and as stated in part 1, Gravebuster is the exception to the insta-kill rule. In case anybody is confused as to why he potentially could have counted under the rule, I believe I have an answer. While Gravebuster itself does not kill a zombie is guaranteed to spawn from each grave on each level. So using Gravebuster to get rid of a plant eliminates the chance for the zombie to spawn. So I guess you could kind of argue that it's an insta-kill plant, but as stated in part 1, we're going off the version of the challenge that I saw first, which was Mr. Marinara's. While I ended up not using Gravebuster that much, it was nice to have, as there are some graves that spawn just a little too close for comfort. Gravebuster isn't invincible though, same rules apply to him as all plants. If he gets eaten, he's dead, and I cannot use the shovel on him. Another thing I haven't mentioned that makes the night levels increasingly annoying is the gravestones. Normally they're no big deal, right? Well, in this challenge we need to make sure that we're accounting for the gravestones in our plant placement. If we place a plant right next to the grave, it's almost guaranteed that the zombie that spawns from said grave on the last wave will eat that plant. Your only options here are to either account for the gravestones early in your plant placement, or get rid of the grave before the last wave comes. Level 2-4 is not only a perfect example of the gravestone issue, it also reintroduces our arch nemesis, the pole vaulter. While this does make things a little complicated, like mentioned earlier, this is where I remembered lawnmowers exist and have a function. Now that lawnmowers were back in play, the beginning of the level didn't feel as stressful. That stress quickly creeped back up my neck as a conehead stalks down the lane and nearly fucks everything up. Fundraiser manages to pull through though, and we take the rest of the build up to wave 1 slowly. Lane RNG is actually in our favor this run, as a lawnmower ends up taking out both a conehead and a pole vaulter. Nice. Things from here go well. We make sure to get rid of the gravestone in front of our Puffshroom and get some walnuts down. It's time for the second wave, and while we have an extremely tight moment with a pole vaulter and Puffshroom, the idiot goes down in the nick of time. Eradicating the rest of the wave, we get the almanac, which obviously isn't very useful here, so we're just gonna move on. The next level is 2-5, and this is the first minigame for the night levels, Whack-a-Zombie. Considering both that we've decided minigame levels don't count, and the fact that this would be extremely easy if it did count, we're pretty much just gonna skip it. But don't get it twisted, Whack-a-Zombie is probably my all-time favorite minigame. For clicking our screens frantically for a few minutes, we get Hypnoshroom. The next level is 2-6, and here is where we get the unfortunate privilege of meeting Football Zombie. Considering that we don't have Magnet Shroom yet, and won't be seeing him for a while either, this level could take a wrong turn very quickly. The level starts and I immediately notice the increasing amount of gravestones. These could pose to be a real problem, as 2-6 is a 1-flag level, and similarly with the first episode, the level being so short can make it hard to get rid of them. We make sure to take things extremely slowly, letting the first few zomboids die to lawnmowers and attempting to get rid of some of the gravestones early. We get really lucky here with lane RNG as a football zombie comes down the only lane we hadn't placed anything in yet, and we just let him have that lawnmower. At the same time, however, 2 coneheads came down 2 other lanes and I wasn't able to deal with both of them. The second conehead ate Puffshroom shortly before dying, and this was a brutal loss. Puffshroom being free was a key part to our night level strategy working, so we've got to think of something else, and quickly. Also, I guess I never explained this before, but if I lose a plant, I do have to shovel the rest away from the level. So with a heavy heart, I remove Puffshroom from the field. We whip out the MVP Snow Pea to save the day and get as many down on the ground as I can afford. The wave comes quickly after, and while we almost lose Walnut here, we manage to make it through 2-6 without any other losses. Puffshroom's death was not in vain, however, as we received Scaredy-shroom, which single-handedly carried us through the rest of the night levels. Don't get me wrong, Snoopy is still the undisputed MVP of this challenge, but Scaredy-shroom is probably one of the only reasons we made it through the rest of the night levels, especially considering the devastating loss of Puffshroom. Scaredy-shroom is not normally a plant I gravitate towards. Yes, it's cheap, but I've always found the hiding feature to be really annoying. Little did I know that while using him for this challenge, he would quickly become one of my favorites. Part of the reason I didn't vibe with Scaredy-shroom before is because of how I used him. Let's show you what I mean with 2-7. In the past, when I've used Scaredy-shroom, I didn't actually take into account how he works. In level 2-7, we still use the lawnmowers to stall out the zombies, but now we start placing our Sunshrooms one row forward, leaving a space for Scaredy-shroom. If we place Scaredy-shroom in the very back, there is rarely a moment where a zombie gets close enough to make him start hiding. The only time this does happen is at the beginning of the level, when we use the lawnmowers to take out the first few zombies. After that, he never starts hiding, and it makes him the undisputed king of the night levels. For some people, this is probably very simple, but for me, this was world-changing. Since Scaredy-shroom is long range and so cheap, he fit very nicely into our night level strategy in place of Puffshroom. Looking back at the field though, there are a lot of gravestones, and I mean a lot. A conehead comes down right before the second wave, and because I was paying attention to chat and not the game, I ended up using Chomper just to take him out. The funny thing is, dealing with that conehead was distracting me from another conehead coming down the bottom lane, which I deal with the same way. What's crazy though is watching this back, I think Scaredy-shroom may have been able to take out that conehead all on his own, but it would have been really close, and I did not want to risk losing Sunshroom. No regrets here in my mind, but damn is Scaredy-shroom amazing. The chompers are immediately rendered useless, however, as I place walnuts down 2 places in front of them. Awesome. From there, we tackle the zombies well. When the last wave comes, the bottom lane was really overwhelmed with zombies, and I did not have the best defense setup. I used Chomper here again to take care of the football zombie that would have undoubtedly fucked my shit up. It was kind of a panic click, but I'm glad I did it, as quickly after we complete the final wave and earn Ice Shroom. Oh my god, is that Michael Jackson? Oh, no. Just Dancer Zombie. Lame. While his design certainly is lame, we cannot deny the risk Dancer Zombie poses for the Nuzlocke. If you don't already know, Dancer Zombie spawns 4 minions around him, one in every direction. If one of these minions die, they respawn, and this can cause very dicey situations. We almost lose Snoopy because of Dancer Zombie's stupid minions, but being the MVP he is, he takes out both minions and Dancer Zombie with virtually no issue. The last wave sends us another Dancer Zombie, and things get tense. We load out the defense in the lane with X Jackson himself and basically beg for Walnut to reload fast enough to save Snoopy. With the Walnut placed at what felt like the last second, we secure the win on 2-8, adding Doomshroom to the team. Doomshroom is a fantastic plant, and considering he's only got one shot this whole run, I want to make sure he shines bright like a diamond when it happens, so I plan to save him for Fog. Same deal with a lot of my other insta-kill plants. I would like to save them literally until the roof levels if possible. With all of the blood, sweat, tears, and dignity I've given to this challenge, we make it to level 2-9, only having lost Puffshroom so far. I know I literally just said that pole vaulters were my arch nemesis, but damn are the coneheads testing my patience. They might find their way up there if they're not careful. 2 coneheads come down around the same time, and with the combination of the gravestone placements, I'm forced to place Walnut way further up than I would have planned. We use Snoopy to stall out the zombies as much as possible, and we get down the rest of our defense line. I later ended up having to place a second Walnut down in front of the first one to protect it. It felt like a war zone trying to get rid of as many gravestones as possible before the last wave. Placing a Gravebuster in between zombies moving, fuck it at this point. It's level 2-9 and I need these graves gone. The final wave comes and it sends us the present of a Dancer Zombie ready to fuck my shit up. With the MVP Snoopy and the king of the night level Scaredy-shroom, we managed to take down both the Dancer Zombie and his minions, completing the night levels for the Nuzlocke in the process. I'm not going to show you me playing all of 210 like I did in the last episode, there's no point really. But this is a very good example of what I meant when I said some of these conveyor belt levels aren't possible under Nuzlocke rules. This level will exclusively give you Doomshroom, Ice Shroom, Hypnoshroom, Gravebuster, Fumeshroom, Scaredy-shroom, and Fumeshroom. At first this may sound like a wide variety of plants, but half of these are insta-kills, and if you lose all 3 attacker shrooms, this level simply wouldn't be possible. I guess there's an argument to be made that you could account for that beforehand and just restart if you lose any of those plants, and to that I would say, you're correct. If I'm being completely honest here, I was going clinically insane with how much PvZ I had played in the last few days, and all the runs had started to meld together and I could barely keep track of what was and wasn't alive as it was. When I do the second attempt with the restart rule, I'll likely include these back in. I was watching Pack's second attempt, and while the conveyor belt levels seem stressful, they are possible, so I do need to correct myself on that from part 1. Once the last wave of level 210 is defeated, we gain a.lly.cat to add to the roster. Speaking of the roster, now that the night levels are complete and we've lost our first plant, let's do a quick recap. While we had many close calls, the only plant we've lost so far is Puffshroom. Here's what is still alive. I know this recap seems nonsensical because we didn't lose many plants, but starting this episode, there will be a roster recap at the end of every episode. Just a quick refresh on who's all dead and alive. Now that we've received a.lly.cat, it's obvious the next levels are the pool levels, and this world was a run ender for sure. I lost a lot of runs in the pool levels, so I hope you'll tune into part 3 to see how they went. Hey, it's me again, here to film the outro. I'm sorry if this is like a weird format to film an outro in. I don't know, this is what makes sense to me. So before I ended the video off, I of course wanted to ask everybody to just make sure that you're subscribed, because oh my god, my not subscribed rate is like the worst I've ever seen. But genuinely, please subscribe. It's a very small channel. I would appreciate it. A lot of work and effort goes into these videos. And you should also like the video and comment your favorite plant, and if you like the video. Moving on from that, of course, I have the shameless YouTuber plugs. I have a Twitch. I also have a Discord server where I announce all of my streams, when my videos go live, as well as just general chatting and Discord stuff. I also have a Ko-fi. If you want to tip me, that's also where I host my crochet patterns and crochet designs and a little bit more of my arts and crafty side. I also have another YouTube channel specifically for my Twitch streams. All of my Twitch streams get uploaded to that channel right after they're done. If you want to check out the Discord server or any of my other socials, they'll all be linked down below. Also, due to the situation in Gaza, I am fundraising for 2 Palestinian families, Dalal's family and Jihan's family. Both of their fundraisers will also be linked down below. If you want to donate to them, I highly encourage you to. Additionally, both Mr. Marinara's and Pax's channels and videos will be linked down below, just like in part 1 for the Nuzlocke series. I highly encourage you to check them both out if you haven't already. They're a great watch. I also just want to say thank you so much for the support. I was at 130 subscribers when I posted part 1, and I'm already at 230. So like genuinely, that's insane and that's incredible. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited for you guys both to see this and part 3 and the rest of the series. So make sure you tune in for the rest. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. Bye!